our national movement is classified into three phases. National movement, in the sense, it is the freedom movement of India, and this freedom movement categorized into three phases. Now we will discuss the first phase, what we call the early phase. Early phase of national movement is from 1885 to 1918. 1885 is the establishment of a Congress party. So the first phase, or the early phase, started in 1885. This is very important. National movement is very important part in the history of India. It connected different people and different sections of the society into one nation. In our India, we find people speaking different languages and following different culture. We find diversified people, diversified in the sense variety in the culture, religion, language of the people. In one sentence, we can say India is multi-religious, multicultural, and multilinguistic nation. So diversified people are there in India. So all these people are not united. So all these people have different cultures, different opinions, and different minds. So all these people are united at a national movement and created all these people of different cultures into one nation. One nation in the sense people belonging to one language, one culture. But here, Indian nation is different. We find multi-religious, multicultural people. All these diversifications we find in India, but all are Indians. We all feel that we belongs to India. In all our minds, there is a feeling of nationalism which builds unity among diversified people of us. So let us see that how these diversified sections of the society turn to one nation, that is India. See, when people united, never will be defeated. People united will never be defeated. So at the time of independence, we were ruled by British. Britishers had colonized India. So we were under British rule, and to fight against British, unity among different sections of the society is very essential. So we have united and fought against the British rule to build a new pre independent India. So, in this national movement, you have studied in the earlier classes about early associations. Associations, in the sense, a group of people standing on one opinion on common principles. So, in seventh class, you have read about the revolt of 1857, where soldiers, ordinary peasants, then artisans, ordinary peasants, soldiers, ordinary peasants, artisans, landlords, and even princes of princely states also joined the struggle against the British rule. So the movement was opposed to the British. It did not have any new vision of the country. It, in fact, wanted to restore the rule of the old kings. Before the British in India, there were kings' rule. So here they wanted to restore the old rule of the kings and the queens in India, and also wanted to frame the world social order which was once prevailed in India. So 1857 revolt was ended with a suppression by the British army. Here several early associations were formed in India by the period of 1885. Here English education also played an important role. After English education was introduced in India in the late 19th century, some Christian missionaries in India established English medium schools. So after establishment of the English medium schools where English education was given in the late 19th century, we find in some major cities like Calcutta, Madras, Bombay. These are some major cities. Calcutta, Madras, Bombay. Today, what we call Mumbai. Madras, we call Chennai. So, in these major cities, a new consciousness started towards independence of India. Intellectuals of this time opposed the inequalities and injustice in the old social system. What is mean by old social system? In old social system, we find inequalities among the people, economical imbalances were there, certain caste people were treated as superior in the society, some of the caste people are treated untouchables. Like these inequalities and injustice were practiced in old social system. So this old social system was opposed by educated people. Early associations were formed in an early phase. That is, the English educated people, they were more concerned of inequalities and injustice practiced in the old social system. So these intellectuals of India who received English education, they wanted a democratic political order. That means in place of what you call dictatorial rule and what you call the colonial rule, which was established by British, where Indians who received English education, they wanted to keep a democratic system in India after the liberation from the colonial rule. So here, these intellectual peoples who received English education, they started pointing out the exploitation, injustice, which caused what to call by the Britishers, and what to call the social system. Okay, here the British rule have given a lot of trouble to us. So we wanted to end the British rule. They exploited us. We were suffering with the British rule. They exploited our resources. So to end the British rule and what you call to stop the British rule in India, there the intellectuals wanted to begin a national movement for a free independent of India. Understand? So we see that the seeds of a new consciousness. So what is a new consciousness? It is about India as a nation. Okay, it is a consciousness of we all are one among the diversified people. A new consciousness started developing in the minds of the Indian people with the help of educated Indians. This started in the second half of the 19th century. Okay, educated Indians, they have understood about the British rule. After understanding the British rule and the nature of the Britishers and its impact on India, educated Indians, they began to come together and to discuss about the issues. See, English educated Indians. What is mean by English educated Indians? Indians who studied English education are called English educated Indians. So these English educated Indians, they have understood the rule of the British in India. These English educated Indians, they wanted that all Indians should come together and fight against the British rule. It is very essential. So, for bringing unity among the diversified people, these English educated Indians, they began to form associations. Association means groups. English educated Indians, they began to form early associations. So what are those early associations here? In 1866, Dadabhai Nauroji, he established East Indian Association. It is one early association formed by Dadabhai Nauroji in London. This is the organization or association formed to discuss about the Indian question. What is Indian question? How Britishers ruling us, and what is the impact of the British rule in India? How they were exploiting us. This is the question of Indians. So to discuss about these issues, one association was founded in 1866 by Dadabhai Nauroji at London. During 1866 to 1885, there various early associations were formed. Various leaders also moved forward in establishing these associations. That is Surendranath Banerjee, then Justice M.G. Ranade, Badruddin Tyabji, K.C. Telang, and G. Subramaniam Iyer. These are the what leaders in establishing the early political associations at different parts of India, at Calcutta, Pune, Bombay, okay, and Madras. Surendranath Banerjee, then M.G. Ranade, Badruddin Tyabji, K.C. Telang, and G. Subramaniam. These are the leaders. They established different early associations in the different parts of India. That is, one is at Calcutta, another one is at Pune, Bombay, Madras. And the aim of all these early associations is to discuss the problems of Indians which we were facing by the British rule. So, what is the intention in establishing these early associations? Early associations were established to discuss about the problems faced by Indians. Britishers have given lot of problems to the Indians, to us, by their policies, by their rule, right? So to discuss about our problems with the British rule, and we want that to overcome it. So for that, it is very essential to bring unity among diversified Indians, so that they created a platform for bringing unity with establishing various early associations. So these associations had nationalistic zeal. What is by nationalistic zeal? They stood for nationalism. They stood for creating India as a nation from the British rule. These associations stood for independence of India, that what we call nationalistic zeal. And these associations also aimed to bring unity by the what to call intellectuals. So these associations had nationalistic zeal and tried to unite the intellectuals. English educated Indians are spread in different parts of India. So all these intellectuals have to come together in creating nationalistic feelings among the Indians. So in order to unite all the intellectuals who are spread in different parts of India, it is essential to have early associations. So many associations were formed. The first one in 1866 by Dadabhai Nauroji, that is East Indian Association, was set by Dadabhai Nauroji. This is the first early association. Okay, and here, though many of these associations functioned in specific parts of the country, at Calcutta, at Mumbai, at Pune, at Madras. So in different parts, in a specific parts of the country, these associations functioned. But their goal was stated, that goals of all the people of India, not those of any one region, one community, or one class. It means all these associations set up their goal to bring unity among all the people. Their main goal is, what are the goals of the people? So, what are the goals of people? People want freedom. People want to end the British rule. People want to get freedom from the British rule. So this is the goal of the what people. So the goal of the people has become the goal of these early associations. Okay, and any of the early association did not stand for one region. Suppose one early association set up in Bombay did not work for only Bombay. It worked for all people of India. So all these associations worked for all people problems of India. Understand? So they did not work for any one region. What happens if they work for if they would have gone for working for one region, then we would not have enjoyed today freedom, right? So first it is to bring unity among all the people who were facing the same problem and whose common enemy was British, right? All the people wanted to get freedom from the what British rule. So the people's goal have become the goal of these early associations instead. So they worked with the idea that people should be supreme in authority. Sovereign. What is meant by sovereign? Huh? Sovereign stands for supreme authority, right? What is mean by sovereign? In the lower class you have studied, right? Sovereign stands for supreme in authority. Understand? That means today we see that many of the nations are sovereign nations, right? Supreme in authority is called sovereign in nation. Okay, look at these important leaders: Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Dadabhai Nehruji, who was the founder of East Indian Association. So these were the important leaders in what to call early phase of freedom struggle, right? So here we see that they wanted that there should be what to call a modern nation. That means modern consciousness and key feature of nationalism. Sovereign. Sovereign is a concept says that people should have supreme power regarding their rule and their government. That means people want to have authority to create their own government. That is called sovereign. So here, sovereign stands for what you call a modern consciousness and key feature of the nationalism. Okay, sovereign is a main point of nationalism. What is nationalism? It is a feeling of one nation. Okay, and in one nation, nation in the sense what it is the people of one country, right? People of one country is called nation. So a people in one nation, in a nation, should have freedom to have their own rule. That what we call sovereign. So sovereign is the key feature of nationalism. In other words, we can say that Indians believe that Indian people should be empowered. Empowered means given power to take decisions regarding their affairs. What do you mean by affairs? Their day-to-day activities. Simply, we can say that Indians want to establish their own government where they could take decisions on their own, where they could rule themselves, where they could enjoy power, that is called empowering Indians to take decisions on their own. That what we call sovereign authority should be in the hands of the Indian people. That is the main feature of Indian nationalism. Many of these intellectuals, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, hmm, then Dadabhai Nauroji, like this, many of these intellectuals, they also organized campaigns against the British policies. British policies are what you call imposed high taxes. Some British policies like taxes on textiles, on textile industries, they had levied high taxes. On Indian textiles, they charged a high rate of taxes. On British textiles, there the tax was very less. So they have shown the partiality, that is injustice and inequality, right? So British policies have shown inequality and did injustice to the Indians. So what kind of injustices British policies have made with us? One is tax, high rate of tax imposed on Indian textiles. Okay, they have shown racial discrimination. Those are white people. Britishers are white in color. They are bright. They are white people. So they enjoyed the jobs. Indian people were not given jobs in the British government, though Indians are highly educated and eligible. For example, Surendranath Banerjee, who had secured good rank in civil services to become collector, he was not given. Understand? So many of the Indians who were eligible for different higher jobs in the British government, they were not given. So racial discrimination. They were a white race and we are black, that is Indians. So they have shown racial discrimination on us, that is on Indians. Understand? So some British policies have shown injustice and what to call inequality again on Indians instead. So racial discrimination they have followed and repressive laws. There were laws made by British government to suppress the Indians. Okay, Indian newspapers were suppressed. Indian newspapers were established by Indian leaders to build national consciousness and to bring out the impact of the colonial policy on India. How Britishers making India to suffer with many problems. That was what to call it, telecasted, printed in the newspapers. So Britishers have felt that it is a activity, an action against the British rule. So Indian people may turn to may turn against the British rule, so that they have imposed restrictions on Indian newspapers. What are the Indian newspapers published at the time? Those were the Kesari, the Maratha, the Indian Mirror. These are the what newspapers published by Indian leaders at that time, in which they have printed, written about how India is exploited by the British and their policies. Understand? So they realized that the importance of discussing the policies of the British government and organizing campaigns to bring unity among the what Indians is very essential. Understand? So for this cause, many early associations were set up in our India. Understand? So here we see that these associations have helped in building national consciousness. What is mean by national consciousness? Among the diversified people developing an idea that they belongs to one nation, that is national consciousness. So national consciousness, that is nationalism, patriotism, developed among the Indians with the early associations. So establishing early associations have helped making the people to believe that they all are one, that is what to call Indians. Understand? So here the Indian National Congress, today we see that Congress party, okay, Sonia Gandhi was the chairperson, right? So that party was established in 1885. What we call that Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress was established in 1885. Understand? So here this is the main political organization established by the Indians at early phase of a national movement. All the provincial nationalistic intellectuals, just now I stated, Indian Association, what you call East Indian Association is there by Dadabhai Naoroji.